if you just looked at the calorie burn of your workout, it's pretty short-sighted because I think muscle's probably the best fat burner there is. And so if you're training consistently and building muscle, you're doing yourself a world of good for getting lean.
I think it would be really fun to cover fitness and training myths with you. Because there are a lot. There are a lot that are pervasive. And I polled my Instagram followers, so maybe we can like draw from them towards the end of the episode. But yeah, like what are some that you see and find to be most pervasive within the fitness space?
Well, we live in Los Angeles, which is where all the dumbass myths start. Am I allowed to swear, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Phew. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to talk. But honestly, when I was a trainer, so before LA, I lived just north of Boston. And there, the trainers tend to be more strength and conditioning background, like what I would call like just real trainers. And we used to just talk shit about a lot of the stuff that happened in LA. And now I live smack dab in all the nonsense. And it is comical most of the time. Sometimes it's annoying, but I do think that there are a lot of myths. I don't want to sound, you a Seinfeld fan?
Yeah.
You know Festivus?
Jew from
Airing
New York.
at the grievances. I feel like we could just turn this myths into like a Festivus. But
it's that time of year.
I would say, yeah, Festivus for the rest of us. December 23rd. We just need a poll. This could be the Festivus poll. But let's see. I train about 50-50 men and women. There's a big myth that women will bulk up if they do weights.
Is that still so pervasive?
It's less so, but yeah, it is. Wow. It's funny because in trainer world, well, when it's probably the same for nutrition, but when you live in trainer world, it's a bit of a bubble because you're just surrounded by a lot of like-minded people. Particularly, like I pretty much surround myself with people kind of like me, and then online's a whole different shit show. But my actual friends, it's a bit of a bubble because we all kind of think the same as far as training. So I just sometimes correctly or incorrectly assume that that's how people think. And then, so I think there's been a lot of headway made in the whole weights are going to bulk women up thing, but almost every single female I've ever trained in the beginning, verbalizes their apprehension to do weights. So I don't think it's, in the fitness world, it's probably been debunked a bit, but in like the world, still it's a thing.
Interesting.
And it's tricky too in LA because here you could just get some famous woman that's thin to promote something, and then every woman's going to think it's good.
Yeah.
And not realize, so much of training comes down to genetics and but a lot of people incorrectly try to like just emulate what someone does who they want to look like and don't realize it's not like it don't work like that.
Yeah.
In the sense like I could, do all the crazy heavy training in the world. I ain't ever going to look like The Rock, and at the same time, like I'm kind of thin and broad build. Like, I could just probably, become a vegan and do yoga the rest of my life and I'll never be like skinny. It's just like so I think people have to maximize their genetics. But that's like a very dissatisfying answer to give to people. So I think a lot of people just chase what somebody they want to look like does.
Yeah.
But to get back to the myths, I would say the women thing is a big one. I would say high reps for toning, low reps for building. That's another one.
Interesting. What is like that? I mean, so what's the deal with that? Like toning is generally a myth, right?
Well,
people want to look toned, but what looking tone really is, it's just like,
so in trainer world,
leanness.
there's two parts to this. There's answering this like a trainer and there's answering this like a normal person. And I think I want to flesh it out because in the online trainer world, there's this new thing to be like, fuck toning. When people say toning, we need to tell them that's not a thing. Tone is muscle. I am of the approach when someone tells me they want to look toned, I just say like, cool, yeah, I got you. And we just do what we're going to do because we all know what they mean.
Right.
I know what toned means. You know what toned means. The people that talk shit about the word tone know what it means. So I think if you tell someone that tells you they want to look toned, that's not a thing, that's a dissatisfying answer, and they'll probably just go somewhere else, or they won't feel heard. A lot of times people just want to feel heard. I could explain to people tone really is muscle. So it's actually paradoxical in a way, because women are like I'm generalizing here, but a lot of women are very scared to build muscle, but they want to look toned, which is muscle. So, but rather than explain tone is muscle and you have to use your diet to lean out and stuff like that, I just kind of say like, yeah, I got you. This workout's going to like tone the shit out of you. And then we just do what we're going to do, because I know what it means.
Yeah. There's probably a ton of trainers online that would just like laugh at a client were they to present and say something.
Yeah, and
like
then the client would feel stupid or feel like the person doesn't understand them, because like, you know, we all know what toned means.
Of course.
You know, I think that's actually a pretty fair goal to have. Tone means like a little bit of muscle, but not too much, and like lean, but not crazy lean, where like you hate life all the time.
Yeah.
So like that's what tone means, and so to me, I could delve into like why that's a bullshit term, but instead I just say like, yeah, let's get toned.
Yeah. I love that. You shared some information with me a couple weeks ago that I thought was mind blowing about how actors that want to get like screen ready train their upper bodies. Something about like training, like putting more emphasis on shoulder training, shoulder work.
Well, you can't really generalize actors, because it depends. Like some people want to look, you know, fucking huge, and some people just want to look toned. And so it depends. But I do think that I don't think people necessarily realize that when somebody gets like big for a movie, they're usually adding like a little bit of muscle, but just getting really lean, which when you get really lean, you tend to look the same or a little smaller with clothes on, but way bigger with clothes off. Yeah, if you just get like ripped with your shirt off, people would think you're bigger.
So like the Brad Pitt like Fight Club look.
I bet that dude, I can't speak to this, but I bet he's like 150 pounds in this.
Yeah.
In that, you know, so he's not big.
Right.
But he just looks like, you know, shredded. So, and I think most guys that I train anyway and I'm around, their goal physique is closer to that than a bodybuilder. You know, I wouldn't have the slightest clue how to train a bodybuilder. That whole physique is a whole world that I know nothing about and kind of want nothing to do with, honestly. Like if you know, that's the thing about fitness, teach their own, you know. So with men, somebody's goal physique is another man's like worst nightmare physique. And, you know, same with, you know, women have different ideas. And that's the thing about being a personal trainer is the personal part is them, not me. So it's not my job to train someone to look a certain way. It's my job to hear what they want to do and just do that. That said, I tend to try to stay in my lane. So I don't know how to fucking be a bodybuilder. I'm 170 pounds and, you know, I wouldn't have the slightest clue how to get all yoked up like that. And, you know, but I do know how to be, you know, lean and muscular and athletic and stuff like that. But the bodybuilding thing is a world I don't know, but I do know that most actors with like a modest physique aren't nearly as big as you think. They just get lean.
Well, what generally are the goals that like your clients have when they come and see you? Well,
there's two different things. There's just ongoing fitness, and then there's getting ready for a specific photo shoot or role. And so that's two different. Anytime the goal changes, the program changes. But for the most part, most of my clients just train for year-round health and fitness and to look, you know, good. But you know this with diet, the people that look like shredded to the gills in the photos probably feel pretty shitty behind the scenes. You know, you can't really live like that long term. So we have a term that we call it 3 weeks out. You try to live like 3 weeks out of looking your best, where if you have to look your best for whatever reason, you can just kind of suffer with the training and the diet for 3 weeks and you'll look your best. But that rip to the gills look is not very sustainable.
Got it. So people generally in this town, this cohort of like actors, athletes, singers that you train, that at any given time, they want to be 3 weeks out from looking their best for a potential photo shoot.
Yeah, athletes, it's different because it's more performance based, and athletes are sort of the genetic outliers that just look how they, they're like the one, everyone else is like, fuck these guys because they're just, they always look great.
Yeah.
But so that's really performance based. But I think in terms of people training for aesthetics, yeah, you can't really, that, it'd be awesome to just walk around super, super lean all the time, but that's not really attainable. And, this, but you're always tired, you're always hungry, you're always irritable. You can't really do that for too long.
Yeah.
That's sort of like you get the photo, do the roll, and then go back to life.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I've never been like that lean,
Well, there's a huge genetic component to it. So like some people, and that's the bitch of fitness. Like it does, but the older I get and the more I get interested in other things of life outside of fitness, I realize there's a huge genetic component to most of it. If you think about like some of these people in the tech world are just so fucking smart to where like I could just read every book in the world and just try to learn all day. I'm never going to be as smart as them. Some people like are just naturally leaner than others, and it is what it is, But I think everyone can. That's why I always go back to like as a personal trainer, I try to instill in people like maximizing your genetics.
Yeah.
And within like the amount of dedication that you're willing to give it. Because I think sometimes people want like crazy results without putting in crazy work. And like, if you're not willing to put in crazy work, if you're just willing to put in like, an average amount of work, you have to like change your expectations sometimes.
What do you think about like the genetics of somebody like, for example, Christian Bale, who, like in American Psycho?
Yeah.
I thought his physique in American Psycho was like perfection.
Yeah.
Well, but then he bulked up for the Batman roles, and then for the Machinist, he became like completely emaciated and gaunt. So like, I mean, is he just like a genetic freak or?
I don't know. I would imagine. One thing I will say though is I think having a role like that is great motivation. So I bet his adherence to whatever plan he's doing at that given time is really, really good.
Yeah.
We can. I think. I don't think most people have that level of dedication all the time, but I'm pretty certain he probably does with that type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I say this all the time. Like I wish I had some level of incentive to get
but
even
you would
leaner.
like, think about it, dude. Like for you to, you probably want to like, I'm speaking for me here, but like, if you just do a podcast in a sweatshirt, there's only like a certain amount of incentive. Like you just don't want to be too dumpy basically. But if you had to like be on Sunset Boulevard flexing shirtless, you're probably going to like have way more dedication to what you're eating. You're going to train harder. You're going to do all that shit.
100%.
Because truthfully, you could do all that shit. You're still looking the same in that sweater on the podcast.
Recently I sent a shirtless photo of myself to my friend Sal DiStefano up at Mind Pump. And, I feel like when you're in fitness, it's less weird to do something like that.
No judgment.
And no judgment. But I was like, what's my body fat? Like at this point, because I haven't gotten it tested in the gold standard method of like
the DEXA.
Yeah,
the DEXA sucks because nobody's ever like left a DEXA reading and felt good about themselves. Wait, it's like the most brutal too.
Huh? Is that the underwater one or is that different?
No, that's different. But yeah, all the ones that like the calipers can make you feel good about yourself because that's where you'll see. I always laugh because in a lot of these athlete articles about their training, they'll be like, this guy's 3% body fat, this guy's 2% body fat, or a lot of college strength coaches will say that they transformed a guy in the summer and he's 2% body fat. And I'm like, fuck off. But like DEXA has a way of giving you the truth, but like the truth usually sucks when it comes to body fat. Most people are a little higher than they think.
But you could also like go to Google Images and search for body fat percentage male, for example, and you can get a visual. There's like
yeah, for sure.
He said that I'm currently about like 12 to 13%.
Oh, that's not bad then.
That made me feel pretty good because I thought that I was probably around 15 or so, but
yeah. Well, is he like an honest guy or is he somebody to pump your tires?
He would not pump my tires.
Oh, then you're good then. Yeah. Then that's really good.
And the range of healthy body fat, there's a range, right?
Well, like that's the thing. Like the world would have you believe like there's so many people that say they're like under 10% body fat. That's like ripped. 12 to 13% is like pretty lean for a podcaster, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I walk the walk too. I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
practice what I preach. So, I mean,
how often do you work out?
I try to work out every single day.
Oh,
Every
shit,
day.
really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't do weights every day,
Yeah.
like, but I try to do, if I'm not doing weights, I do, I mean, no, I'll take a day off here and there, and
Yeah.
I've no shame or guilt about that. But like for my mental health, and I really love like going into the gym. Some days I just go out of boredom. Like I just go and, I'll do maybe some zone 2 cardio on the treadmill or something,
That's cool.
But you were saying something really interesting about how, a lot of these guys, sometimes they'll prioritize their shoulders. Like they won't spend a lot of time bulking up their chests, which is typically what men go to the gym to do. Like,
well, it is. So yeah, that's another paradox. And that kind of dawned on me about 10 years ago. I've trained 15 years ago now. This is my 15th year, but ever since I was a trainer, there's always a joke that Monday is International Bench Day. Everyone's benching on a Monday. So every squat rack's going to be open. That's not entirely true anymore, but it's the joke. People, and if you talk to guys and you ask them what their workout split is, I actually pay attention to not just the split, but how they talk about it, because most people will say, if they do an upper lower split, they'll say upper lower. With my clients, we actually do lower upper. We do the opposite order. But also with bros that do body part splits, they'll always be like chest and tries, back and bis, legs, like that type of thing. But it always starts with chest. But if you ask most guys their goal physique, it's closer to Brad Pitt than a bodybuilder. And if you then deconstruct that physique, that Fight Club physique, he doesn't have a big chest at all, but he has cap shoulders and he's just super fucking lean. And I think, another gold standard now, Fight Club, how old are you? I'm 37.
40.
Yeah, we're the age now. I'm starting to feel old sometimes, but like you could talk to someone in their 20s. They might not have actually seen Fight Club, dude.
Interesting.
So now the gold standard physique is Cristiano Ronaldo, the soccer player.
Oh, interesting.
And again, anyone would want to look. He's like,
even for Americans, like,
yeah, because he's just like, he's always like with his shirt off everywhere and stuff. But he kind of has that Fight Club physique. Again, it's not a big chest, but it's like cap shoulders, super lean. 6-pack, and you can see the serratus on the sides and shit. And when you really think about it, that's not a heavy chest emphasis. And most guys want to look thin with clothes on, but muscular with their shirt off. And that is more so, having chest muscle, but not huge, but having cap shoulders. So we actually prioritize shoulders over chest, and all the chest work we do on an incline to bias the shoulders a little more.
Interesting.
So I don't want to say all, but most of the pressing that we do is on an incline.
Wow.
Varying levels. We'll do like a higher incline or a lower incline, but very little flat bench pressing. And then the stuff we do that would be akin to flat bench pressing, we do a lot of push-ups. But
why push-ups?
I think push-ups are just one of the most simple, but one of the best exercises you can do for a lot of reasons. But most of the chest work we do would be on an incline. And then we also do a lot of shoulder work. So if people have healthy shoulders, we'll do overhead pressing 1 to 2 times a week. But we'll also do a lot more like joint friendly options, like lateral raises every which way. Or we do a lot of landmine pressing, which the landmine, it's hard to explain, but it's like you basically put the bar in a corner, so to speak, and it so you're pressing on an angle rather than straight up. And that's a little more shoulder emphasis. So I would say we do about a 2-to-1 shoulder to chest ratio for upper body training. Thereabouts. And the chest work that we do is typically on an incline.
Most people do shoulders sometime after they've knocked out their chest on chest day. Didn't you say that you take an alternate approach?
Yeah. I prioritize. There's a million ways to train, by the way. So I don't have like one ubiquitous program, but I always try to prioritize the stuff that's most important in the beginning of the workout when you're fresh. So if that's a goal, then we do that in the beginning, and then we do the other stuff later. But just in terms of like, output, you're always going to get the most out of the stuff you do first in the workout. You kind of for better or worse, like if you're training hard, you kind of blow your load on the first couple things, and then you kind of have to half-ass the rest of the workout. So I try to prioritize the things I care most about first.
Ever since you told me that, I've been doing like 3 sets of shoulders, like pretty much at every workout. And I've been doing this, and I really like the results that I'm getting.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's one of those things. It's funny you said this, because you've probably been doing this, what, like 2 months now?
Yeah, like 2-3 months.
So when people ask me how long it takes to see results, it's usually like right around that, like 8 to 10 weeks. Because a lot of times people will just train hard as shit for like 2 weeks and then get discouraged that they haven't seen results. And I'm like, dude, like it takes it. The joke I always have, I have great built-in job security as a trainer, because it's just one of those things you have to keep doing all the time or you lose it. So there's no like, you can't get in shape and then stop, because then you get out of shape. So it's like, you have to, you just have to keep it going. But in terms of, if you're trying to really change your body, I think people really see results sometimes around like 6 weeks, but usually like 8 to 10 weeks.
Interesting. Yeah. It's helped give me like, it's helped like give me more of that like sort of V. You're not like expanding outward. It's helping to emphasize that sort of V look that I think everybody wants in clothing without making you look any bigger.
Yeah, I think that's the paradox thing about guys caring so much about chest, is I think if you asked most guys, they don't really want to look that thick.
Yeah.
But then they'll do a shitload of chest.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I for me, it's like about a balance, which I think it probably is for most guys.
Yeah. And there's always a blend too, for every guy. And then, with women, it's the same, but for every guy, there's going to be a blend of how much you care about aesthetics versus how much you care about just strength and performance. And there's always a give and take there. You can't, if you're prioritizing physique, it's going to require slightly different things than if you just care about like strength and performance. But they're all connected. But they're like the like ratios vary.
Yeah. What's an exercise that everybody loves that you think is like overrated?
Bench press, barbell bench press. I think if you were to poll. If you took 100 bros that had shoulder pain and asked them why, at least 2/3 would say the bench press. And I think that you can get just as good results for pressing strength, chest development, whatever your goal is with the bench press, pressing with dumbbells using a neutral grip. I actually don't even have a rack in my gym. Because we don't do back squats or barbell bench. But I think instead of barbell bench, we do dumbbell bench using a neutral grip, or somewhere between neutral and pronated, like 45-degree angle. So usually people that aren't pressing heavy weights, we keep to a strict neutral grip. As you get heavier, it's really hard to keep a strict neutral grip. So we'll allow like 45-degree angle. But I think that pressing with a neutral grip or on that 45-degree angle, not straight pronated, which would be akin to a barbell press, saves your shoulders, and the chest development is equal or better.
Interesting.
So yeah, barbell bench is one that I would say, and also too, I think there's more range of motion with dumbbells. I just think it's better, or a machine press. But a lot of guys, you'll almost never meet a guy. This is another pet peeve of mine, is the new social media world. The people that are disseminating the information tend to be a lot younger now, because they're the popular ones on social media because they know how to do technology. Like I feel like a dinosaur when it comes to social media, because I'm like, how the fuck do I do these reels? I don't know how to add these stupid captions. So but the kids are the ones with the followers now, and so you're kind of like, dude, talk to me in 10 years. You're going to have like some fucked up joints, but you'll almost never talk to a bro that's like benched a lot, that's in his like 40s or 50s, that doesn't have fucked up shoulders. And, so I think that if you just switch from barbell press to dumbbell press, you'll feel better. And push-ups too. I think push-ups are great.
Dude, that's why I have such a problem with the way the phrase evidence-based gets wielded on social media. Dude. Because some people on social media act as though everything you need to know about a given field you can get from PubMed, everything. But it's not true.
Well, it's not true at all.
There's like experience and the feedback that you get from your clients or your patients or what have you. Super, super important. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it is funny because I feel like I'm always arguing against evidence-based, which would make me seem like I don't give a shit about evidence. I really do. I just don't think a lot of people really know what it means in the sense of I was like a nerd in school. I actually read PubMed. A lot of trainers have these research reviews now. So it's like, it's actually cool because one thing I learned, this is my 15th year training. I actually probably used to be more dedicated to reading research in my early 20s. Because one, I was just super that was what I loved, but I also just wasn't that busy with clients. And so it's like, it sounds obvious, but the busier you are training people, the less time you have to read the research and stuff like that. But I think that but the better trainer you become because you're just actually being a practitioner working with people. So to me, evidence-based is taking the other funny thing about evidence-based, this is the same with nutrition, but in the 15 years I've been a trainer, the shit changes all the time. So the stuff that people were preaching up and down in 2010 is different than they're preaching up and down in 2020. So that to me shows like you can't live and die by the science because it's probably going to change with nutrition and training.
Yeah.
But like nutrition, man, like I can't tell you how many times eggs have been unhealthy or healthy in my lifetime or, coconut oil had a moment where that was the end all be all. And then I remember I didn't like go on the internet that morning, but there was a morning that coconut oil just like hit the fan. Like it was no longer healthy. And one of my clients in the morning was like, Ben, what do I do with this coconut oil? Like, I read on 5 different articles that it's not good for you anymore. And I was like, just maybe hold on to it. It'll probably be healthy again soon. Like who knows? Like, but training's like that too. It's, for a while there's always debates about these things. And, if you look at study design, it's not always perfect. So, and then the social media evidence-based world is even crazier because you pretty much, if you just Google something, all you get is the abstract. And people, particularly I find that the most intelligent people are the ones that are able to like take the evidence, but they don't live and die by the evidence. I think a lot of unintelligent people use the title of evidence-based to seem smart, but it's not very smart to just look at an abstract and think you know what you're talking about.
Absolutely not. Or even if they go and they read the whole paper, it's just like you can't live and die by data because the data, especially with a field as or a topic as complex as nutrition, right?
Yeah. Well, and training because I always laugh. I train a fair amount of basketball players now, and all I can tell you, I'm 5'9". The game changes in the gym when you're like 7 feet. It's just your levers are different. A lot of times they don't even fit on the equipment. And I'll share videos sometimes and people will just like say these guys' form's bad. And I'm like, it's not bad. Like that's just how they're built. And people will talk about research as it relates to basketball players. I'm like, there's no research because you would need a control group. You're never going to get a group of NBA guys to be like, yeah, let me just like sit this training season out. Like that's never going to happen. So I think you have to rely on experience. But I do think I like the idea of evidence-based. It's well-intentioned idea in the sense that there's so many dumbasses on social media that just like spout nonsense. And if they're jacked, people believe them. So I like the idea of those people being checked and being told like what you're saying is stupid. But where I get frustrated is the true good practitioners that read research, but not all day because they have a job and do their best, but they also really pay attention to their clients. Those people shouldn't be those people's experiences definitely shouldn't be discounted. And so a lot of times when, I made a tweet not long ago, but it was a conversation because I had shared a new exercise. And to my knowledge, it was new anyway. That's, to me, it was new. And somebody asked me the research on it. And I'm like, dude, this didn't even exist yesterday. Like there's no research. I'm just showing you But I would hope that after doing this for a long time and training a lot of people, and I'm not the type to just post shit for no reason. I'm trying to teach. And if we've had good experiences in my sample size, which is me and like 30 clients, it's worth sharing. Like that's worth telling people this is working well for us. I'm not making claims on it. I'm just saying, but there's no research. But I think that rather than be like, you need research for this, I think researchers should be like, yeah, maybe this is worth looking into, and if you, I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole of the specifics with training, but there's a lot of stuff. Do you know the exercise called Nordic leg curls?
No.
So Nordic leg curls is where, I won't talk too much. You can always just tell me to shut up too. But
no, what are they?
Nordic leg curls is where you essentially hook your feet to something, and then you're on your knees, and you try to keep a straight line from your knees to your shoulders, and you lower yourself down, which is all hamstrings. And then usually you catch yourself on your hands and push yourself back up. It's an eccentric hamstring, knee flexion based hamstring exercise.
I've seen you do it on your Instagram.
Yeah. So it's an eccentric knee flexion based hamstring move. There's a shitload of research about Nordic leg curls. Until about 2 weeks ago, I've never tried a Nordic leg curl. They're hard, but I'd never tried one. But we do a lot of what's called slide board leg curls, which is also a knee flexion based hamstring exercise. To my knowledge, I don't really know if there's any research on on slide board leg curls. I learned them from my old mentor, Mike Boyle, and then we've done them and progressed them a lot. But I've always kind of had a hunch that they're just as effective as Nordic leg curls. But there's a lot of evidence that Nordic leg curls help reduce hamstring strains. Some people now say they help with knee issues and stuff like that. But there's no, research to my knowledge about slide board leg curls, because I only know like a couple people that actually even do them, and they're all trainers, so they're not going to be doing research. I've always had this hunch that they're just as good as Nordic leg curls, and but I can never say that online because I'd probably have some slapdick tell me how stupid I am. But then meanwhile, Nordic leg curls, most people, you have to use their hands forever. I learned it my second day. But I fully 100% attribute that to doing a shitload of slide board leg curls over the last 15 years. But like there's no science to back that up, but it's like clear as day to me.
Yeah.
My other friend that does slide board leg curls as well as me can do a Nordic. We're like 2 of like 5 people I know that can do Nordics. So that to me, rather than tell me how stupid I am that I've been doing these slide board leg curls for 15 years with no research, I think people should probably look into slide board leg curls. But I think you need a mix of practitioners and researchers. That's like how it goes. But the practitioners are never going to go research. I don't give a shit. Like, if I know it works, I'm not going to sit around and wait for someone to tell me it works.
Yeah. No, that like faux evidence-based mindset, like to me can be so problematic and so annoying, especially on social media. I
know. Well, there's a new thing now. I say new, but like there's always waves. Everything gets recycled in health and fitness. But now everyone shit talks stretching.
What's the deal with stretching?
So the deal with stretching, well, what's the deal with stretching in the real world is like almost everyone feels better when they stretch. But in internet land, there's a lot of research now that it's an anti-stretching thing because they say there's a couple reasons. One, people say it's ineffective for reducing injuries because of certain, and then they say that stretching diminishes force production. But this is one where if you look at any study that says that stretching diminishes force production, people stretch. You look at the research design, and it'll be people will stretch for like a minute or even 2 minutes, and then go right into an explosive activity. Nobody ever does that in a real workout, but like that's clear as day. You're going to have diminished force production. But in the real world, people stretch like 15, 20 seconds. In my world, in our gym, we start with static stretching, then we do a dynamic warm up, then we strength train. So by the time we've finished static stretching to the time we do our first set, it's probably like 12 minutes. If you actually look into the research, and now, this is funny. Sometimes I feel like a dinosaur. Even at 37, I sometimes feel like a dinosaur in the social media world. But I was trying to anytime trolls troll my friends and they talk to me, they're like, I'm always like, dude, just let it go. Who cares? But when people troll me, I'm like, all right, let's go. Like if I have free time, I actually like getting into it because I hate the fact that somebody that doesn't even train people can just tell me how stupid I am about training people.
Oh, it's so annoying.
It just bothers me.
Yeah.
And so
social media, that's the whole thing about social media, is that it's just like full of like these armchair experts that risk nothing, right? Like in their lives, and then they come over to you and they feel like they've got something to say. Meanwhile, you're boots on the ground, right?
Yeah. I think the way that social media is now is a good percentage of people don't put out their own info, but they're probably on social media more than you and I even are. Just looking at posts, looking for every way to be like, you worded that wrong. Gotcha. This is wrong. Gotcha. Like, and meanwhile, I get checked all the time on Twitter for like using a wrong word here and there. And I'm like, bro, look, there's like 5 typos in that. I did it in 1 second. But it's like the tone thing. We know what they're talking about. Maybe the word is not correct, but like there's all these like circle jerk arguments on Twitter where people get pissed when you're like, dude, I wrote that in 1 minute. I didn't really think about my wording maybe as much as I should because I got a job and I don't get paid to tweet. But you know what I was trying to say. Like, the words matter to a degree, but like, and I think words have a lot of power, but the way that social media, they just nitpick. There's a difference.
Yeah. 100%.
To go back to stretching, so I was pissed because this guy was like, I shouldn't be pissed, but who cares? It's like somebody with a fake name and whatever.
User 357821.
But I'm like, you know what? Fuck user 357821 on this particular day. I'm going to show him why he's wrong. So I Googled the static stretching thing and this article came up. I was reading it. Come to find out, I wrote it in 2013, 9 years ago. And that's when I actually read more research. And in a lot of these studies, if you look into it, it's pretty clear if you stretch for longer than 60 seconds and then go right into something, a lot of times you will see decreased force production. But if you stretch under 30 seconds, it doesn't happen. There's no and you still get a slight increase in range of motion. Now it's transient. That's the other issue people have with stretching is that the benefits aren't lasting. But it's very clear that if you stretch in the short term, you're a little bit more flexible. To me, it's like brushing your teeth. Like the effects of brushing your teeth aren't lasting, but like I'm just going to do it every day.
Yeah.
That's just what you do. And there's a short-term benefit of like your breath's better that day. There's a long-term benefit of like, I'm not a dentist, but it probably helps ward off like teeth decay.
Yeah.
If you do it every day. But same with stretching. Like if you see the new trend is to use research to show that you shouldn't stretch and instead just use full range of motion strength training. And to me, that's like the most theoretical like argument there is, like not living in the real world, because one, nobody holds these stretches like the research shows. These are like prolonged stretches. Short-term stretching doesn't decrease force production, but also in the real world, if you go to Equinox, nobody lifts with full range of motion. Like all you see is a bunch of shitty squats. And people don't have the range of motion a lot of times to do it well. So they have to stretch to get there. So if you're just like some young flexible kid, all you have to do is squat. But like most people aren't built like that. So you need to squat. So that's where the evidence-based thing can get murky, So that's why I think that the true evidence-based is a blend of taking the research and then taking real world anecdotes but real world experience and bringing that together.
Yeah, absolutely. So does stretching actually help increase range of motion and like prevent injuries and stuff?
Well, the prevent injuries thing is a tricky one because it's a lot of the research that looks at like, does it prevent injuries in sport isn't like great research, but I think almost everyone you talk to that is wound tight says they feel better when they stretch.
Yeah.
Every athlete prioritizes stretching to feel better. I don't think there's a real way to quantify it, but I think it does help for sure. The interesting thing about stretching is there is a group of the population that is hypermobile and they don't need to stretch. They tend to be people that like stretching. People tend to gravitate toward what they're good at, not what they need. So like dudes that are tight tend to like to lift but not stretch. women that are super flexible tend to like to go to yoga but not lift. So I always say, if you like stretching, you probably need to be lifting more. If you like lifting and don't like stretching, you probably need to be stretching more.
Wow. I think all you need to do is look at an animal or a child stretching.
Yeah.
To know that stretching is something that we're probably meant to do.
Yeah, and if you talk to any dude in his 70s, like they'll never be like, "Oh, I regret stretching when I was a kid," but they would be like, "I regret not stretching as a kid. Now everything hurts."
Yeah. Okay. Another hot button topic, and a controversial one: machines versus free weights. You mentioned like a chest press machine earlier as being like a potential good alternative, but in general, what's your take on machines versus free weights?
I've gone through a lot of different opinions on this because it's interesting. So my first foray into training was through bodybuilding, and bodybuilders use a lot of machines. And the rationale is that there's more stability in a machine. So you can get more output for the muscle you're trying to work. So that's what I paired in the beginning. Then I got into functional sports training, and that world tends to shit on machines because you're not working the stabilizers. Pretty much the exact reason that bodybuilders like machines, functional training people don't. And so then I started training a mix of athletes and non-athletes and stuff. And I think that I tend to prefer free weights, but I think that machines are fine too. And I also think I live in a bubble where, being a trainer, I expect that people have access to a trainer, or everyone's lifting with good form. And then my thoughts on machines changed when I started going to some of the commercial gyms in LA. I started going like 5 or 6 years ago, once a week with my buddy, just like to get into a different gym and a different scenery and stuff. And I realized like almost nobody lifts with good form here. I just live in a bubble. And so I think if you don't have a trainer and you just want to get on machines, that's great too. But I do think that, a blend is probably best.
Yeah, I like that. I use
I don't use machines with my clients. I use very few machines, but part of that is I train people in a 1-car garage, so a chest press machine would take up a quarter of the garage. It just ain't worth the space. But when I'm in a gym myself, I'll fuck around on some machines. I like some of them. I do think a lot of machines some machines are poorly designed. And so I don't love those, but like if we're just generalizing, are machines good or not, I would say they're fine, but I also think it's good to step out and try to learn the free weight moves and challenge yourself with proprioception as well.
Yeah. Speaking of like the functional movement trend, is there, I don't know if like CrossFit would be in that category, right? But like I feel like there's this push now to like try all these super complicated like moves.
Well, that's social media.
That is social media.
Yeah, I don't think, social media fitness, when you're a trainer that actually trains real people, my scrolling thought process is probably way different than the average just fitness consumer. Because I think the average fitness consumer is really drawn to these crazy creative looking exercises because they look fun and they look different. And I think most people, myself included, just kind of like to switch things up. I like to, in every area of life, I like to switch it up. If I go to the same place to eat all the time, I get sick of it. If I listen to the same song all the time, I get sick of it.
Yeah.
If I do the same workout all the time, I get sick of it. So I get people's workout ADD, but I think regular fitness consumers are way drawn to the flashy exercises, and that's why people post them. But as a trainer, I look at all that stuff, and for the most part, I'm like, stupid. Nobody's going to do that. Because I think that the way that a lot of fitness people do things now, they're posting, they don't think what's going to help people. They think what's going to get the likes and the comments. And that's two very different things. Because and I've struggled with this myself, because if I just put, my own workouts are very basic. I've done an incline dumbbell press almost every week of my life for the last 20 years. I've done chin-ups for the last 20 years. I've done rear foot elevated split squats. I've done single leg Romanian deadlifts. I've done trap bar deadlifts. I do the same shit week in and week out. And then I'd say 90% of my training has been the same throughout the years. 10% is different, but because you know I sit there as an educator and I think I want to teach people good training, but at the same time, uh, how many times does the internet need to see another incline dumbbell press? I've done this a million times, so I tend to be guilty sometimes too of sharing the cool shiny shit that I don't even use that much, but it's just like different than all the other stuff I've shared. Um, so uh, that's the struggle. I think a lot of people though in the fitness world don't really care about educating. They just care about trying to get their
Clicks.
followers and up. So like in order to get your followers up, you got to like just be creative. You got to do stuff outside the box. You got to do something to make people stop scrolling and stop on you for a second.
Well, yeah, and the whole thing is like when I feel like when people see the like a weird, crazy new shoulder, chest, or glute move, for example, on social media, they're like, "Oh, that's going to be the secret sauce to get me the butt that looks like that person's butt."
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Meanwhile, that person probably just does all the basic shit all the time and then just did that for the video and went back to their normal workout.
Yeah. What about body part splits versus full body workouts?
That is another thing like machine versus free weight that I've changed my mind on a lot. I learned from bodybuilders who do body part splits, and then I got into functional training, and that was all full body workouts. And now I actually do full body workouts, but for different reasons than I used to. So that's that's not helpful. What I think is helpful is first, you have to realize what your goals are. There's a trainer that I love. He was a mentor to me named Dan John, and he has a really cool saying, which probably applies to just about anything, not just fitness. But he always says the goal is to keep the goal the goal. So I think whatever your goal is in training, you have to start with your goal and then work backwards for the plan. But for athletes, I believe full body training is the way to go. One, because I don't think they need to be in the gym too often. And if you're just training 2 to 3 times a week, full body is the most efficient. Two, I think the body works as a unit athletically. So, in a lot of the moves that athletes do can't be categorized. It's not as simple when you're just like bodybuilding and doing like, bench press for chest or squats for legs, that's fine. But if you're doing things like Olympic lifting, that's not a very clear, you don't really put that on a chest. You can't necessarily put that on a leg day or an upper body day. It's a full body move. And a lot of the moves that athletes do are full body moves. So that's why we do full body. I do full body with general population clients now for different reasons. For women, we do full body, one, because I've met very, very few women that are just down to do like a full upper body day. Most prefer lower body. And men oftentimes don't want to do a full leg day. And so that's partly that's just what I think people will like best, because it actually does really matter to like what you're doing to a degree, or at least not hate it.
Yeah.
Two, I think full body workouts are the most efficient way to achieve a muscular but lean physique, because the metabolic cost or demand of a full body workout is way higher than a body part split. You don't even need a heart rate monitor, but just imagine how you feel after doing a set of bench versus doing a set of lunges. Your heart rate is jacked when you do the lunges.
Yeah.
So I think full body workouts are kind of the cheat code to getting and staying lean. That's a big reason we do it. And then the biggest reason is I have a saying that practicality always trumps perfection. And with my clients, I don't train a single client with a 9 to 5. They all have crazy schedules, crazy travel schedules. So a lot of times I don't know their schedules. And we just go day by day. We schedule day by day. And at night I'm texting them about the next day. So when you don't know the next time someone's going to come, full body just makes the most sense. If you just did like a chest day and then they take 5 days off, the rest of the body, has a long hiatus. So I do things where with clients with erratic schedules, we just do full body. And that said, if they are coming like every day, for a period of time, we will bias certain things under the umbrella of full body. So full body doesn't mean you're always prioritizing. Obviously, you can't prioritize everything. So under the umbrella of full body, we could have a chest emphasis or a back emphasis or a leg emphasis that day, but we're still doing full body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I personally don't like doing full body.
Have you, how long have you tried it?
Not, I don't have a ton. I mean, I've done it a few times here and there.
Yeah.
And I haven't liked it. So I haven't really tried to keep it up,
Yeah. And that's the thing. So like, I would say like, then don't do it. Like, at that point of life, I would say like the main thing, like you said, you do something. The other thing is you do something almost every day. So you're pretty like regimented.
Yeah. I love the body part split.
Yeah.
But I try to do it where I'm hitting all my muscle groups at least twice a week.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's honestly not too dissimilar then from
Well, because my feeling is that, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not an expert in this area, but it's sort of like when you said that the exercise that you do at the end of your workout, you're gonna be able to put dramatically less gas into it as you were the first move. So sure. I feel like if you're doing a full body workout, inevitably there's gonna be a body part that comes towards the end of the workout that's just not gonna get the love.
Well, yeah, but
and
that's
proper stimulus that the first. Exercise
well,
was.
one, I feel like I'm arguing with you, but I'm not because there's like more, multiple paths to get to Rome.
No, not.
But two, I think that's what I was saying that we prioritize different things on different days. So it's not like the same body part order every time.
Got it. So if someone wanted to try doing like the full body workout, it would be like, okay, you're going to do a full body workout, but today you're going to do chest, back, legs. The next day you're going to do legs, back, something like that. No.
So it would be, like I have like a template where I tend to program in either paired exercises or what I call trisets. So like usually it's trisets. So what I would do is like when you started the workout, there would be a lower body exercise, an upper body exercise, and a core exercise. So you might go the lower body exercise first for set 1, then the upper body exercise first for set 1, core exercise first for set 1. Then go back to lower body and repeat that for like 3 or 4 sets.
Got it.
But if you put the lower body exercise first and you're going heavy on that, that would be the priority of that triset. You could just as easily invert it and start with upper body, and then it's an upper body focus.
Yeah.
But you're still doing both.
No, I definitely think that there's like massive benefit to doing it the way that you've said to, describe to do it. And also I know like the Mind Pump guy, like everybody's seemingly these days on board with that.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. I just think, for me, my methodology has come mostly from the logistics of scheduling and things like that. But I also think it makes a lot of sense from a training perspective. And I think where most people's goals that I train are, modest amounts of muscle and lean, I think that full body is the way to go. Now if you told me, I'm pretty open-minded. So if you told me like, I'm just trying to get fucking swole, like first, like I'd be like, I'm probably not your guy. But second, I think success leaves clues. And I've never heard of a giant bodybuilder doing full body. So I'm not going to say that my way is like the end all be all. If you're trying to get huge, I've actually, there might be some bodybuilders back in the day that did full body. I'd have to brush up on the history, but almost all of them, like all those dudes flexing on stage, do body part splits. So I'd say that's probably the way to go, but that's not my bag.
Well, it might be because they're adapted to a certain like level of volume and
well,
intensity.
I think in order to get like you probably have to, like when you do full body, you're not doing that much volume for any muscle group in any given workout. So like we only do 1 chest exercise, 1 to 2 back exercises, 1 to 2 lower body exercises, etc. Whereas in a body part split, you might do 4 or 5 chest exercises on chest day.
Yeah,
it's totally different. So we would probably actually, I bet the volume for like my style, like full body workouts, if you were to equate volume with my style over 3 to 4 full body workouts and then a body part split, the volume's probably about the same. You're just splitting it up differently.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. No, I definitely feel like, we still have to get a workout in. We've never.
Dude, I mean, I'm down anytime.
Yeah, I'm for sure down. Man, there's so many controversies in the world of fitness and in the world of training. It's like, there's so many places that we can go, but what about this one? This is like a big one that a lot of people feel like soreness is a good indicator.
Oh yeah. That's another tricky one
of a good workout. Yeah,
I actually have to fight against that as a trainer. That's another reason we do full body workouts, actually, because you're only doing one exercise per body part, you don't get really that sore once you get used to it. And I like that. So my spiel to every new client is different than you might expect. It's so I take people through a little movement screen and we talk about their goals, injury, and past training history. And from there, we start a workout and it's pretty modest. And I tell them, I'm definitely not going to be your hardest trainer. And that's by design. And anybody can smoke you, but you're here to get better, not just to get smoked. And some soreness is inevitable, but if it's too much, tell me, because then we have to back off and build slowly. Because I think unless you're just somebody with like a desk job that just loves training and just can be sore as shit and then go sit around, that soreness like fucks up the rest of your day. And it definitely decreases, my thoughts on this came from training athletes, but if I were the type of trainer to get athletes very sore in the gym, I'd be right out of a job because they're also playing their sport concurrently while they're training. So like going back to that whole, the goal is to keep the goal, their top priority is their sport, not training. So if what I'm doing takes away from that, that's no bueno. So my goal is to get people stronger without getting sore. And that comes from, there's several ways to mitigate soreness. If I just wanted to get someone sore, it's easy as shit to get someone sore. That's why I think a lot of insecure trainers just fuck people up the first couple workouts to try to like make them think they got a good workout. Because a lot of people that don't know better actually do equate soreness to a good workout.
Yeah.
But if any exercise that loads the muscle in a stretch position is more prone to make you sore. Stressing the eccentric component, so that's the lowering phase of an exercise, will make you more sore. So, you could just give someone a shitload of lunges and they're going to be sore. But if they can't sit or walk, to me, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And your body can only synthesize protein at a certain rate anyway. It's not like you can build. Getting sore as shit. It's not like you. I think sometimes dudes will come out guns a-blazing on a new training program and just get sore as shit. And then like after 2 weeks, you still look the same. It's just like you were just like sore for those 2 weeks. Where you do have to kind of coax your body into change, I think, for long-term results. But chasing soreness is pretty dumb, but it's also pretty common. And that's something I try to fight against as a trainer because I think, the biggest like killer of progress is either getting hurt or just burning out and stopping. So I think in order to be consistent, you have to, even as a trainer, I fight the urge to sometimes, my clients will be like, ooh, like my chest is sore. The other thing that makes you sore, the stretch position, the eccentric, and a new exercise. So if you just switch it up every day, you're going to be sore every day. But to me, that's not the goal. So we actually keep exercises in for a while before we switch them out because then your body can kind of, you're not sore all the time.
Also, like, even if you're not like a professional athlete, being like ridiculously sore in your lower body might affect like your next day tendency to just move about the world, which could affect like your non-exercise activity, calorie burn, it could have other downstream implications. Like undesirable implications, excessive soreness.
Oh, for sure. And, I do a lot of shit in my own workouts that I would never recommend my clients do. And I'm willing to do it with myself, but I would never put it, because I truly just kind of train for the sake of training. I just like it. It's why I'm a trainer. So I try all these like gnarly challenges and I'll fuck myself up sometimes and think like I shouldn't have done that, but I can do it on myself. I can't be hurting other people. But there's a lot of times that I will make myself super sore from trying something new. And, 2-3 days, it fucks up the rest of your day. It's like if your abs are super sore, like there's days I've woken up after really hard ab exercises and been like, I hope nothing fun happens today. Cause every time I laugh, it fucking hurts, like that type of thing. Or I'm like, if your legs are sore, it's like, I ain't sitting down today, like that type of thing. It's yeah.
Anything you do to mitigate soreness or to like at least or enhance your recovery?
Well, this is another interesting one where going back to the research, because if you listen to research, almost nothing mitigates soreness. Like research disproves all of it. Stretching doesn't help. whatever. But truthfully, that crazy soreness that you get like from either a new training program or just a super hard workout, nothing's going to get rid of that. Like you could get a massage, you could stretch, you could do an ice bath. You're still going to be sore for a couple of days. But I think the mild soreness, truthfully, this is where I couldn't tell you anything other than my own experience, because some people love cold plunges, some hate them. Some people love saunas, some hate them. Some people feel better after they do. Actually, some people do what they call like active recovery. So they'll do like a jog or a light bike. That's always made me feel worse. The idea of active recovery actually feels like paradoxical to me. Like I think like just rest kind of. So my best thing is like making sure my nutrition's on point. And again, I don't have any science to back this up, but I'll sometimes eat a little more if I'm super sore, like up my protein. Who knows if it helps or not, but like it does in my head. I will do some like light stretching, but I think aggressive stretching makes it worse. And I do think some of those massage type things can help some people, but for the most part, that soreness you get from a new routine or overdoing it, you just got to like work through.
Yeah. And you probably also want to avoid like taking like Advil and like these non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. Cause I feel like, I don't know if you saw this, but there was like that, something came out a while back that showed that, cause these anti-inflammatories, they shut off the inflammatory cascade, and that inflammatory cascade in the context of exercise is like part of the adaptation process.
Well, yeah. So that's the other thing, to me, fitness people should also be health people, but a lot of times it's not. If you think about it, anything taken to extremes isn't good for you, including weights. I preach weights all the time, but I think people that lift really heavy weights all the time are usually all kind of fucked up. Like they're all hurt and stuff. But I think recently I've heard that Advil is not good for hypertrophy, but also just kind of Captain Obvious. Like I don't think you should like, if you have to take Advil to get through your workouts, you need to just modify your workouts. Yeah. You're just overdoing it. I don't think, I think workouts aside, if you have to take Advil every day, you probably should go see a doctor because like something's wrong. Like you shouldn't, so if you have to take Advil just to get through your workouts, your workout is stupid.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. How much time needs to be spent in the gym for an effective workout? I feel like sometimes you get the sense that, you got to work out for like the longer the better, that mentality.
That's why I was surprised when you say you go every day. Cause I actually, tend to try to start people with less and then build, because for several reasons, but one, not everyone wants to like make their life the gym. You said you just like it. So if you like it, then that's cool.
Yeah. I love it.
But if you don't like it, then I think, 2 to 3 times a week is a good starting point for like 45 to 60 minutes. I
mean, I've been training my whole life. I know I don't look like a bodybuilder, but like, I feel like I'm fairly well adapted at this point to my routine. It's not like I get sick often. Like I don't feel like I'm overtraining or anything.
No. Yeah. I'm sure. Well, then you probably have a good gauge on like what your body's capable. It's long-term training success really is a never-ending balancing act of pushing your body and listening to your body. And that's a different trade-off for everyone. But I think that the key is finding some people can train harder than others. I actually tend to be someone, even being a trainer, I'm pretty injury prone. So I train less frequently and with less volume than a lot of people I know. But if I do too much volume or train too often, I always seem to get hurt. So you just have to find kind of what works for you.
Yeah.
But I also tend to be somebody, again, this is where preference comes in. I don't enjoy just like a moderately hard workout. I like to really train really hard. So I think the harder you train, probably the less frequently and less volume you can train with. But if you are good at moderating your like effort and intensity, then you could train more often, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think I have a pretty firm grasp on that.
Yeah. Like if you're training every day, you're definitely not going to like hell and back every single day.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like the people that like to, just like leave it all in the gym type of thing. You can't do that every day.
Yeah, no, I don't think I train like that. I mean, one day will be like stretching and more running,
Yeah, exactly. So you got it down. But you kind of have to pick and choose when to push it and when to back off.
Yeah. What are some other like big? I feel like there's so much out there. All right, let's see what the Instagram followers sent my way. Oh, this is a big one.
If you have any CrossFit followers, they all probably hate me.
Do they?
Yeah.
You don't have not popular in the CrossFit community?
No.
High intensity training while fasted for women. This was a question that came up a few times. Well, in different like permutations, but like high intensity training for women while fasted. I think the crux of the question is like, how much is too much?
Well, this is where the nutrition people would be better than I am, to be honest, because I don't know. Fasted cardio was a thing when I first started learning about training that was big in the bodybuilding community, because the rationale was that, and I don't know where the science stands now. This is one of those things that's been cyclical. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But the idea of fasted cardio is that if you do cardio on an empty stomach, you're going to burn fat when you're training. Instead of if you eat carbs, you're going to be burning glycogen while you're training. It's since been proven that there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that pre-workout nutrition is highly individual. So personally, I can't train. I can't do high intensity workouts fasted. I get super lightheaded and I feel weak, but I also can't eat too much or too soon to a workout or I feel sluggish. But I know a lot of people that love fasted workouts. And I also know some people, particularly bigger athletes, that can eat a huge meal and then go sprint. Wow. And so everybody's different.
Yeah.
But, or for example, I have always hated intermittent fasting. I've tried it at various points, just myself. I just hate it because I don't know what it is, but I wake up hungry as shit every day. So I'm like, how can anyone like this? Because, from the time I wake up to the time I eat breakfast, all I'm thinking about is breakfast. So to me, if I fast, I'm just prolonging that. But I have a bunch of clients and friends that swear by it and they love it. And, so I'm not against it. I'm not against it at all as a thing, but I don't like it myself. And, and it's funny because a lot of my friends and clients will try to like put it on me. And I'm like, dude, we're going to have to just like live and let live because we're clearly different, or in the sense of, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I think diets are highly individual in the sense that, diets in the sense that whenever I've tried to go like low to no carb, I feel like death all the time. Everybody's, but a lot of people love it. I've used myself as a guinea pig for a lot of shit and then just kind of have to settle back into what works for me, but I do think pre-workout nutrition, actually the science on post-workout nutrition keeps changing all the time too. About 10 years ago, it was like, post-workout nutrition was prioritized to the point that it was almost like seen as a waste of your workout if you didn't eat 30 grams of protein and, within 20 minutes of finishing that last set. And you would have the bros bringing their protein to the gym because they were like, I don't even have time to get home to get this protein hit. Mm-hmm. And then now it seems like meal timing doesn't matter as much as people thought it did. And, since I've been doing this, it's like when the time that I first started really getting into training, it was 6 meals a day. You had to do 6 meals a day. Wow. Of like protein. There was all different ways to break it up, but then it was intermittent fasting where you do 2 meals and, whatever. And then now post-workout nutrition doesn't seem to be as important, the timing. It's just important that your overall calories and protein are there is what I think the current research is at. Who knows? A new one could have came out today. I haven't, but I think the pre-workout nutrition is one that I would never defer to studies on, because if I have 30 clients, I have, a bunch that like to work out on an empty stomach and a bunch that like to work out, and have eaten something. And I don't think anybody's wrong.
Yeah. I like both. I mean, I definitely very much enjoy a fasted workout. And I also don't mind, like the occasional afternoon workout where I've already had a meal.
I think it's how you train too. I think, your style of training probably impacts it. Everything, and just what I also think whatever you do for a while, your body just gets used to. The body's like pretty smart, like, I used to train super early in the morning, and then I would have the hardest time if I ever had to train in the afternoon, getting energized to do that. And now my schedule changed to where I train in the afternoon, and it is so fucking hard for me to train in the morning. So it's like, people will ask me what the best time to work out is, and I'm like, I don't know, whenever you like to work, do it.
Yeah.
Because I think you just adapt to whatever your routine is. On the face of it, how do people that have night shift jobs like do their workouts and eating? And like, if you talk to them, they'd be like, I don't know, I just do it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's all this like you tend to be pulled into this world of like granularity, especially, on social media. But at the end of the day, it's like making sure that your resistance training, however you like it, however you can get it in, I think that's like the most important.
Yeah. I think, as long as you're doing, I have an analogy that I like, that strength training is the entree, cardio is the side dish. So use your time and energy accordingly. And, so we could get into ratios. To me, if we looked at a plate, I would say that would probably be 2/3 strength training, 1/3 cardio. And that seems like a pretty good way to do it long term.
Does cardio kill your gains?
Again, it depends. The devil's in the dose with everything. As it relates to exercise, medicine. Think about it. The devil's in the dose on everything. So I think no, cardio doesn't kill your gains if you're just doing a modest amount of cardio. But if you do a fuck ton of cardio, I mean, I've never seen like a jacked marathon runner. So I think the devil's in the but I've also never seen, most of the weightlifting guys suck at running. So I think there's like a middle ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a balanced approach that incorporates both.
Yeah. Think about like a lot of bodybuilders like get tired walking up a set of stairs. So I think there's, like moderation in all things.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot, because I feel like you can have a great physique and you can be strong and flexible and muscular. But if you can't, and this is sort of like a new way that I've been thinking about cardio, because generally I don't like cardio, but if you can't run a mile comfortably, I feel like that's there's like an imbalance there, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think
I don't enjoy running, but like I've been approaching my training, particularly with regard to cardio lately, so as to, get me in good enough shape so that I can comfortably run a mile whenever I want.
Well, for me, the whole like weights versus cardio thing is sort of like the stretching thing. And remember, with stretching, I said people that love stretching and are naturally flexible and hate lifting probably need to be lifting more and stretching less. People that just love to lift and are naturally tight and hate stretching need to be stretching more. Cardio and weights, it's kind of the same. I think people that just love to lift but can't walk up a flight of stairs without panting need to be doing more cardio, which is good for your health. And I think people that just love to do cardio all the time but are weak would really benefit from strength training.
I like that. Speaking of like pre-workouts, do you have like a go-to pre-workout?
I don't. The pre-workout thing, I'm actually kind of against a lot of them. I don't know what your thoughts on this are, but I come from a background. I used to train, when I first started training, I trained a lot of high school hockey players, and they would just shotgun that jacked 3D and get fucking jazzed up. And
how much caffeine you think?
It's pretty unhealthy. I don't really know. Like, things? I have no clue. I should.
Probably a lot.
I don't even know like anything about like caffeine milligrams, but I just know that pre-workout jacks you up a lot. And I think, I'm not like a total prude with stuff like that, but part of me is like, if you have to get that jacked up, like you got to like prioritize your rest and recovery more, or you're probably, like that type of thing. You need to modify your training program. But I do think a lot of those things just aren't healthy, like that amount of, but I do drink like really strong coffee in the morning. And then
it's probably my favorite pre-workout.
Yeah, but I don't do pre-workout. I'm a shitty sleeper too, so I won't do pre-workout if I'm working out like in the afternoon. So I guess if I work out in the morning, coffee is my pre-workout. If I work out in the afternoon, I don't have a pre-workout, but I drink coffee every morning.
That's one of the things I love about your approach is that like there's no like you don't chase fads. Like it just sounds like you're super level-headed, super grounded.
Well, the thing is, dude, like I prioritize, like for me, as somebody who's a bad sleeper, I think sleep is the best recovery tool there is. It's better. It beats the sleep, I think, is better than the ice bath. I think sleep is better than the massage guns, better than stretching, better than anything, sleep. So if you are somebody that like drinks caffeine for your workout at night to give you a better workout, but then you miss sleep, I think you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. It's there's no point.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that phrase. Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I feel like sleep is, if you're spending like all kinds of money on crazy biohacking gizmos and gadgets, but your sleep isn't in order, that's a mistake. That's like, you need to reprioritize.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one, I mean, the research seems to back that. It's good for a million things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is like your training looking like these days? So you do like full body, you're doing like full body workouts.
Myself or my clients?
What's like yourself?
Myself, so I realized about a year ago that I was heavier. I just talked about how if you just like lifting but don't do cardio, I realized that I wanted to make, relative to my size, I have like pretty good relative body strength. So as somebody who's 37, not playing sports anymore, just training like for this game of life, I do like the idea of being very balanced. So I consciously, a year ago, changed my training to 1, I wanted to be thinner and lose weight. 2, I wanted to improve my mobility. And 3, I just wanted to be more fit. So more cardiovascularly fit. So I do 2 to 3 full body strength workouts a week, but I do a lot more mobility work. And then I do more cardio in the form of, but I just hate gym cardio. I hate gerbil cardio. So like gerbil cardio is like the elliptical, the bike shit where you're just the treadmill.
What's your favorite form of cardio?
Well, that's like asking, like the answer is none, but for me, I like hill sprints. I love hill sprints. I think the best thing people can do that like to run, but aren't like training for a marathon, I think it's just way easier on your body if you run on a hill. So what I'll do is like, I'll go to the hikes, I'll run the uphills, walk the downhills. Pretty simple, but it works.
Well, on a treadmill, you could just like jack
you
up
could put it on. Yeah. If you were on a treadmill, if you're running on a treadmill, do yourself a favor and just put it on a little incline. I think that spares your joints a little bit.
What's the relationship between cardio and weight loss? Cause I feel like,
that's tricky. Cause you like, I think if you told me to prioritize what's the priorities for weight loss, and I had to list the 5 most important things, I would say, diet 1, diet 2, diet 3, strength training 4, cardio 5.
I love that. Yeah. I think that I think cardio is super important, but it's not to burn calories. Like no,
it's just to be healthy. It's, it can aid your training, but it's, I think that, it does burn calories too, for sure.
Of course. But it's like, I don't think that should be the intent because it's like, you really have to, I've seen just because I've been running on the treadmill now, and I don't know how they're probably so inaccurate, like the calorie counts on the treadmill machines, but it's like, you have to run for 10 minutes, 20 minutes to burn 300 calories. Do you know how quickly I can eat 300 calories?
That's like a losing game for sure. If you're trying to trade, but that's the same for weight training. If you put on your, tracking device and and saw how many calories you burned in a strength training workout, it's pretty depressing, but you still should do it.
Yeah.
But not for the sake of burning calories, but it is, but again, if you just looked at the calorie burn of your workout, it's pretty short-sighted, because I think muscle's probably the best fat burner there is. And so if you're training consistently and building muscle, you're doing yourself a world of good for getting lean.
Yeah. And also it helps to, like, the recomposition of your body, I think is,
oh, totally.
It's contingent on building muscle. 'Cause you can actually, like, I mean, your weight might not necessarily change, but you'll see your body fat percentage go down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. Almost any goal physique someone has involves muscle, for sure.
Yeah. It's crucially important. What about time in between sets? Like, are you big on, what is it? There's like a term for it, but it's like,
I rest way more than most trainers, I think. I think that strength, I try to keep the strength training and the conditioning separate. So I think when people, I think it's misguided to try to get conditioning from your weight training. So we rest like if you're trying to really push weight and improve and use progressive resistance, that involves being mostly to fully recovered by the time you're doing your set.
Interesting.
So when I see on programs, do a set of deadlifts, then rest a minute, then do a set of bench, then rest a minute, I'm like, they're not deadlifting that hard. Because if you're deadlifting hard, you ain't benching in a minute. It's going to take you 2-3 minutes to get your life together. So I think, I'm doing this, I'm working on this workout program now, and it's the app software you have to build in the rest. And I had to literally talk to them because the options were like 30, 60, 90 seconds. And I'm like, we need more rest. 90 is not even that much. If you're doing really heavy rear foot elevated split squats or deadlifts, you got to, at least 2 minutes.
Those are so
3
hard.
minutes. Which ones?
Rear foot elevated split squats.
Oh, yeah. People also call those Bulgarian split squats. It's the most ubiquitously hated exercise in existence. But
gets the job done.
Yeah. The bitch about training is, it really is like the hard exercises you hate doing are the ones that work the best. And it sucks, but it's what it is.
Yeah. Well, you were saying you're developing a program? Yeah,
I'm doing it. Well, so I'm trying my hand at the online thing. It's really hard because for like 50, when you're a trainer that like trains people in person, it's so frustrating to see the training programs that are disseminated, because you look and you go, these people don't even train anyone. And the programs, you can tell they don't train anyone, because when your whole business is training real people for like 45 to 60 minutes, you know what they're capable of. So a lot of these programs are just way too hard, and people always get hurt all the time. And it's always pissed me off. But then, again, like Captain Obvious, if you don't put out your own program, people are just going to do what's available. So I'm trying my hand at the online thing. It's fucking hard. I have no technological aptitude, but it's I'm just like dipping my toe in. It's like a 6-week men's and women's program. There's a men's program and a women's program, and that, just because that like ruffles people's feathers too. There's no like gender specific exercises. It's just most women I train have different goals than most men I train. So like with different goals comes a different plan. But there's like a men's and a women's plan, and then it has an accompanying nutrition. Do you know Precision Nutrition?
I'm familiar with the concept, but
I actually think you'd love it. Yeah. So it's a company. It was started by this guy, John Berardi, who's a good friend of mine. And I think you'd actually really like his stuff. It's always resonated with me a lot with me, but he sold the company and it's owned by this guy, Tim Jones now. But what I like about Precision Nutrition is it's just like kind of practical stuff, which is like I've always said if I started a diet, I'd call it the common sense diet. And I posted it on Instagram. I said my tenets of nutrition, which was like simple stuff, like make sure you get enough protein, eat well 80% of the time, limit your junk food to stuff you really love. For me, I see the value in good nutrition, but I'm not nearly as passionate about it as I am about training. So I think for me to make the program the best, it was better to outsource it to people that's what they do. But precision nutrition is just like middle of the road, very simple stuff that it's not fad diets, but what they do that I like is it's not meal plans, it's like habits. So they try to teach healthy habits, which to me is what I try to do as a trainer, is not just give people exercises, but teach them how to train. And it's that whole, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. So the nutrition going along to this from precision nutrition is meant to like just instill good habits. This isn't like a 6-week challenge. That's one of those online things that kind of bothers me. Like the challenges where like, they're promising you to have a whole different body at the end of 6 weeks. It's not that, but I'm just trying to give people a taste of how I train, how I program, and solid eating habits to go with it.
So like who's the person who's going to most benefit from this program?
Just kind of well, that's the thing about training. Again, just as I said, there's no gender specific exercises. I train, I train like an 80-year-old grandfather with the same exercises as an NBA player. The exercises are the exercises. So the loading and the volume and stuff changes. But I tried to make the program, it's tricky to have like one ubiquitous program for the masses. So what I tried to do is program it in a way, and also my following is very broad. So when I first started training, my online following, do you know a website called T Nation?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to write a lot for T Nation.
Oh, cool. I was never like a frequent like reader of it, but like I'm familiar.
So from like 2010 to 2016, I think I wrote over 100 articles for T Nation.
Damn.
And that was a big part of building up my online following. But because of that, my following was a lot more like real like lifter bros that were really into training and were the type to, eat 6 meals a day and have a workout schedule. And then as I started in LA and training more actors and got like more of a mainstream following, a lot of my followers have no experience in the gym. So I tried to do a program that you could do with very little experience, but would also be a great program for somebody with experience. Because I think I'm a big believer in full body workouts for a lot of reasons. And this is could be like you said you hated full body. This would be a way for you to like dip your toe into full body and see how it works.
I'm down.
It's that type of thing. So I think a lot of people can't wrap their head around how you do a full body workout in 45 to 60 minutes. If you've done body part splits, it seems like an undertaking where a full body workout would have to be 3 hours. So I'm just trying to show people how to, get the 3 full bodies in like I do without having it like take over your life. Because I'm not somebody that I'm different than you, and I don't like to lift every day. It's 3 days a week. So
that's cool.
So that's
I'm sure there are more people out there like you than like me.
There's probably a mix, but there's probably no job worse for training than being a trainer. Because I think part of the reason, like for you, it's probably your getaway. Like when you train every day, it's probably for you, like you probably take solace in like going to the gym, and that's like your time.
I love it.
But that's like where I work all day. So there's a lot of times like when you say you want to come lift, I'm like, bro, let's do it. Because I have like 4 or 5 friends that I call to lift with. And if they can't come, I usually skip it. Like for me, it's like, I love having people to lift with because that's built in accountability, but I work in the gym. So if I don't have to be in there a lot of times, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good today.
Interesting. I generally don't. Yeah, for that reason that you described it, I generally don't like lifting with other people. That's the thing. Like when you text me, you're like, let's work out. I'm like, oh man.
But it's just different.
Yeah.
But imagine if you were in the gym all day, you might feel differently. And for me,
exactly.
I know I need to do it because 1, I like to practice what I preach. If I'm telling everyone you need to be doing this, I should be doing it too. And I like to, I say lead from the front, but it's not like whatever. In my head, I never like to ask anyone to do anything that I can't do, that I haven't done. And so I try my own shit before I give it to other people, just to make sure, I'm kind of like I said, sometimes I've hurt myself training. I'm very open about that. And kind of like, all right, well, make sure I don't do that with other people, that type of thing. But I train just hard enough to, maintain a solid physique, be strong, maintain credibility with the athletes I train. And it's, for me, it's fun, but it's not always fun. So like, but to me, the people that see the long-term progress are the ones that go even when they don't want to go. So for me, like I try to maintain a consistent schedule. And the best way for like, if you didn't have somebody listening to this that didn't have the resources to get a trainer and struggle with consistency, I'd say like find a partner, like a gym partner, because like an accountability partner, basically to just make sure you're going to keep showing up. Because the thing about training, when we talked about genetics, you and I both could pick any sport we want and dedicate every single day to it to the rest of our lives and probably not be like good enough to be a pro. We just don't. But the thing about the gym, it takes not no athleticism, but very little athleticism to be good in the gym. It just takes showing up repeatedly and putting in the work, you know, and because the athleticism required to do deadlifts ain't nearly what it is to like play football or play basketball. It's like that being good at deadlifts is just like you got to deadlift every week for a long time. You know, you got to, if you want to be a good, I said I don't like the bench press, but if you want to be good at the bench, just bench every week. You're going to eventually get pretty good. You know, it's like that's the thing about progressive overload. If you add it, that's if you have to look at gym progress over a very long time, because if you in 2 months, if you said I increased my bench press by 10 pounds in 2 months, that wouldn't seem like crazy. But if you jacked up your bench press 10 pounds every 2 months for a year, you're up 60 pounds. And then if you do that for 2 years, which isn't really even that long in the lifetime, you're up 120 pounds, et cetera, et cetera. Progress always slows the higher up the chain you get, but just about anyone can build pretty decent lifts across the board if you just keep showing up and putting in the work.
That's where discipline like becomes so important.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of people lean on motivation to get them to the gym.
No.
But motivation is like a fair weather friend, you know, like some days you have it, some days you don't.
Oh, dude. And I'll be the first to say, I know as a trainer, I should be somebody that just like loves to train, but that's not me. Like there's a lot of days, and this, I feel stupid even saying this, but like, I also just couldn't care less what people think. But like, if I had like a ambition, my gym is my garage. If it's raining, I'm like, I don't want to fucking lift, you know, like that type, like there's so many days where like I got bad news in my job or something happened in my life and you're sad. Like, I'm like, I don't want to fucking lift, but you just like, and listen, a lot of times I do skip it. It's not like if you skip a day for like life reasons, like the world keeps turning, like the weights ain't going anywhere. I don't think you have to live and die by the gym. That's not what I'm saying, but I think you have to show up more than you don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the thing. Like the weights don't lie. So I can always tell whenever I get somebody that has taken a break from training with me and then comes back, I know right away if they've been training on their own, because it's like, I told you, I've built in job security in the sense that like, if you don't do training, you lose your strength, you lose your muscle. It's just like what happens. So like when somebody's like, hey, I've been training like in your absence, I'm like, yeah, I can tell, or like, no, you haven't, like that type of thing, you know, like, cause the weights are very objective. It's a lot of, that's kind of what I like about it. In a lot of aspects of life, success is hard to quantify, but gym success is pretty easy in the sense, like if you dumbbell bench the 70s and then you go up to the 80s, like you got stronger. You can't, you know, it's not like, you can't, it's not like I can tell someone like you're getting stronger if they're not. They'd be like, dude, this is the same weight we've always been using.
But there are also like non-weight related wins to be made in the gym too. Like I've been doing lat raises for, 20 years at this point, and I'm still finding ways to tweak my form to better feel them, for example, in like my mid deltoid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But and then when you keep doing it, you'll find in like 5 years, maybe a form you used in the past works better for you now. Yeah. And you can't explain it, but it's just like how it is.
There's like, you gotta find a way to enjoy the process.
And for me, there's a huge mental benefit to the consistent training. For me, it's as much mental as it is physical. because I've had to actually, in the last couple years, I don't really want to like gain weight or lose weight. So, and I care much less than I used to about how much weight I lift. So when you have goals like a certain body weight or a certain weight to lift on an exercise, it's much easier to maintain motivation. When you're just kind of like have no goals, so to speak, the wins for me come from the mental benefits. And
You mean like to your mental health?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that, like I actually go to therapy, but I also find weight training to be very therapeutic. It's like double pronged thing. And if
Yeah.
I ever get that crazy anxiety feeling of like the heartbeat, that like the jacked up heartbeat that you can get with anxiety, I find that it's like a two-prong approach to work on that. Talk about it, but also like get my heart rate up, and both really help me.
Dude, have you seen the new Jonah Hill documentary
No.
that he filmed? Jonah Hill made a documentary about his therapist.
Oh, wow.
This guy named Phil Stutz, who's
Okay.
actually, he's LA based. I'd love to get him on the show. Both of them. So his therapist takes this like really unique action oriented approach, and he distills his approach to what he calls tools. But so the documentary is really good. It's on Netflix and is really touching and moving. And the therapist, Phil Stutz, he's like 72 years old and he has Parkinson's disease. So, I mean, I can relate to that because, it's a condition that my mom had. And so, but one of the things he says is that like in the hierarchy of, tools for his average patient, like his average patient will present to him with all these different like things and complaints and whatever. But like 80% of the time, the primary recommendations that he makes are to fix up your diet, to get to the gym, to begin exercising, to tend to your sleep. And like, most of the time he sees mood lift in a totally significant way.
Oh, I believe that for sure.
Yeah. Like he doesn't even have to get to the higher order stuff. Like
what's it called again?
It's called Stutz. That's the documentary.
I want to watch that. Yeah.
It's on Netflix. It's really good.
I want to watch that. Yeah. Cause I actually, there's, again, you have to find what works for you, but I have different workouts I like to do depending on my moods, if that makes sense. Like if I'm feeling pissed, I just lift heavy as shit and I tend to like be stronger and then I feel better when I'm done. If I'm like upset or sad, then I will do like more like hard cardio type stuff and get my heart rate up. But I can't lift heavy when I'm like sad. It's hard for me to like muster that up. But if I'm pissed, like anytime I set a personal best in the gym, my friends probably know like Ben's pissed. That type of thing. It's like anger's like when you say pre-workout, like anger is probably the best one there is.
Interesting. That's funny.
But sadness, I think, like requires a different workout. But it's definitely a mood lifter for me. But I can't. But that's one where I think you have to, if you're lifting or just not lifting, exercising for mood benefits, that's when you really have to listen to like what your body's telling you more. Like because I think that if you try to force exercise to improve your mood, if you're not doing things you enjoy at the time, it'll make it worse.
Yeah.
Because that will make working out feel like a real chore.
Yeah.
I try to really like not have people think of working out as a chore as much as possible. Because for some people, it's just always going to be that way. I bet if most people could stay thin and look fit without working out, they probably would do that.
Yeah.
They would choose that. But until that's an option, you got to do it. So it's like, can you meld this into your life as seamlessly as possible?
See, the benefits that I get are, I would say, primarily to my mental health. And then the bonus happens to be what it does for my confidence and for my, for my appearance. But then as you get more fluent in the gym and adapted, it becomes like this self-perpetuating thing where it's just like, it's inertia. Inertia is either your best friend, can either be your best friend or your biggest foe.
Yeah.
Right? It's what keeps you going to the gym when you're on a routine, but it's also what keeps you on the couch.
Yeah. When
you've been sedentary for 4 days, right?
That's so true, yeah.
So for me, it's like I keep going, and then the results of that persistence starts to reinforce why I keep going to the gym. Because like I feel better and better, and I look better and better, and I'm getting stronger. And yeah.
You'd be able to speak to this more than me about the eating, but I see so often, not across the board, but so often that consistent fitness routine and eating well is like a package deal. People are either on the wagon or they're off the wagon too.
Totally. Well, it all, I feel like they all reinforce one another, you know?
Yeah.
You can't, and I've been thinking about this a bit lately, you can't out diet a sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know? So I think if you're sedentary, I would say that like getting off your butt.
Wait, say that again? Because the way I've always heard it is you can't out train a bad diet. That's what trainers say.
Yeah.
You can't out train a bad diet, which fuck, man, I wish you could, because I love training. I don't love the healthy eating, but I just do that out of the nutrition for me is like training is for a lot of people. It's like for me, it's just a necessary evil. But like, if you told me you could like look how you want to look, whatever, eating like bullshit, I'd probably do it. To be honest, I just like, I'm not somebody who like gets thrilled for a salad. I just am not.
Yeah.
I wish I were, but I love the training.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I think you could probably like, you know, it depends on what your goals are ultimately. But it's like there's no way of eating that's going to compensate for a lifestyle of just complete inactivity.
No.
Right? There's like no way. But if you're exercising vigorously, you are giving your body a degree of resilience
totally.
To a shitty diet. You know?
Yeah, so
obviously you want both.
You can't out train a bad diet, but you can definitely give yourself more wiggle room by exercising consistently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Like a little wiggle room.
A little wiggle room.
Like, yeah.
What's your diet like? I mean, I saw you posted on Instagram. You were at like Burger King the other day.
Yeah.
Was that your decision or was that Nicole's? Nicole's his fiance.
Yeah. No.
Couldn't have been Nicole's.
No, that was mine. I love a good burger. I actually love a good burger. If you ask me my favorite food, it would either be eggs or burgers.
Do you eat a lot of fast food though?
No. That's a thing. That was mostly a joke. That was actually fully a joke. Because Burger King sucks, but I do like fast food.
Yeah.
Wendy's, every once in a while, I will fuck up some Wendy's. But for me, I try to eat well 80 to 90% of the time. And then, but I've learned for myself, if I try to eat well all the time, I just like hate life. It's because I love my treats. So it helps me. I have to like, I don't do cheat days or cheat meals. I don't think about it like that. I guess I do, but I don't think about it like that. Every once in a while, I pick and choose my places. And I actually realized with myself, I probably need to check myself a little more. You know how I was saying on social media, a lot of trainers just post like their nonsense workouts? I think I'm probably guilty of posting when I went to the Burger King, but not put like most of my breakfast is like, I eat a healthy breakfast every day. I eat a healthy lunch every day. Like most of my meals are healthy, but I don't, just as I was saying earlier, like the world doesn't need to see me do another set of incline dumbbell press. I'm like, does the world really need to see me eat like, sweet potatoes again and eggs again and oatmeal again? But I eat the same health. I do eat healthy most of the time. But then I tend to probably be guilty of sharing the junk more just because it seems like, I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I think it's like share, it's like,
dude, yeah. I've been, cause I'm like, I got this sample of a product that somebody sent to me and it was like an overnight oats thing. Like, have you ever had overnight oats? I'm like
I don't know. So when you ask me my diet, I'm a creature of habit with breakfast and lunch. So breakfast, I don't know if
funny,
it's
the name
overnight
of the product
oats.
was Creatures of Habit. That's weird.
It was?
Yeah.
Well, so I eat, it's actually bad how obsessed I am, but every morning that's the only meal I cook. I actually don't cook besides eggs, but I cook over medium eggs and I eat mush. Is that overnight oats? Or
those are overnight oats.
Okay, yeah. So I eat either 2 to 3 of the little mush things and eggs just about every day. I get auto ship of this mush and just fuck it up. Like I eat like 2 to 3 a day, but
Dude. Well, I don't know about that product because I'm assuming, is it like added? You probably don't even know. You probably don't. Do you look at the ingredients and stuff? Like,
no. But I don't. But I just know like it has to be like pretty good for you.
yeah,
And it's good.
Yeah.
I used to eat my breakfast before this. I've been on the mush train for like a year and a half probably. I used to do eggs and just like berries and shit, but then I got sick of going to the store to get berries. So that ran its course like after. If I try to go like that ran its course after truly like a month. I'm like, I'm not going again to this fucking grocery store. But I do like the eggs in the overnight oats, the mush, and then I always do a healthy lunch, and then dinner is the one. Like when I said 80% good, 20% bad, my strays are always at dinner because that's like I eat breakfast and lunch kind of quickly in a routine. It really healthy eating for me has to be in a routine, and then dinner is where maybe 2 nights a week I will or 3 nights a week I will veer and just eat whatever the fuck I want.
And like, what does that like indulgence meal look like for you?
Depends where I'm. I only eat that if I'm going to like a restaurant. I try to really. What helps me is like I try not to eat food that I know is bad for me unless I really fucking love it. So I'm not going to just try to eat like shitty pizza or shitty bread or shitty candy.
Yeah.
But I will eat good pizza and good bread and good candy.
I like that approach a lot. Yeah.
And so that, so if I'm at a place and something just strikes me, then I'm just going to eat it and get back on track. But I'm pretty good about not stringing together a bunch of bad meals in a row. Like I don't think of it as a cheat meal, but I also don't ever like feel bad if I get off the wagon.
Yeah.
I'll just like kind of eat it and it was worth it. And then I just keep it moving.
Yeah. I do that actually. Like I'll do, the occasional, like, I still like to like lean towards gluten-free. So I'll do like like the best gluten-free pizza in LA. Like and I'll go to town on that. There's a place called, for example, Pisana around the corner, which is like,
Pisana's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's way better when you go there.
I haven't had the gluten-free, but
it's good.
Yeah, it is good.
But I was saying, so this oatmeal thing, I'm generally like, I eat a very low grain diet.
Okay.
But like the research on oats is actually like, if you can find gluten-free organic oats, like the beta gluten in oats, like really good for like supporting the immune system, for like digestion.
I've been doing it right without even knowing it.
Yeah. Like glucose tolerance and all that stuff. And it's like, it's really like a pretty clean carb to consume like pre-workout, for that energy. So I got sent these samples of this like product. I have no affiliation, but I think the company's called Creatures of Habit. And it's like overnight.
That's me.
Overnight oats, no sugar. And it's like a lot of protein that they add to it.
What kind of protein?
It's like a plant-based protein or something, but I have it in the house. And so I was like, I just tried it. And it's my first time ever.
What kind of flavors?
Like your boy's first time eating, I'm 40, trying overnight oats. They were good. They were tasty. So I've been enjoying a little bit
for
of
a while for breakfast. I've actually always loved oats. The overnight, the mush just makes it easier for me.
Yeah.
But what I did for a while for breakfast was oats, and then I mixed in chocolate protein powder and a little cinnamon, and that was really good. I can't remember how much oats it was, but 2 scoops of this really good chocolate protein powder. It was like a whey casein isolate blend. And then I put in like some blueberries and cinnamon, and that was great.
Sounds good. Yeah. I don't know how long I'm going to be on that train, but it's the other thing about oats that are cool is that they act very similar to psyllium husk, which has all these different benefits.
That's the fiber, right?
Yeah, and it acts like a broom in your intestines, and it's like,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I can't like that's why like on the program I had to delegate the nutrition because like I just know me. I'm never gonna get like jazzed up about psyllium husk. I'm like,
I love all this stuff, man.
Yeah.
I could talk about nutrition.
No, of course. And that's why you do it. I think we all got to find what makes us tick. Like, and we're all probably like a little weird to be so passionate about it. Like,
yes.
Like when you say when you're telling me how much you hate rear foot elevated split squats, like that's normal. Like I love them, but that's not normal. But it's like why I do what I do.
Hey, if you like that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.
It's all about the calories, that's all that matters. And there's some truth to that in the sense that, yes, you do need to eat less calories than you burn in order to lose weight. That's a law of thermodynamics, right? So it's a rule of physics, but it oversimplifies a far more complex issue.